So welcome to this webinar here. As we wait for the rest of the people to sign up, we are quite a large group today, so that's very nice. It's a pleasure to have you here. While we wait for them to sign up, let me just start by saying that I appreciate that you are with us here today for some 30 minutes in these difficult times. So I hope you will see this as a nice break to talk about something else these times. So my name is Bruno, and I've been at Tintoma for a little bit more than 3 years. Today we are going to talk about the packaging of geotextile rolls or technical fabrics, geosynthetics, and we'll start out with quite a few details about the film that is going to be used, because essentially it's the film we use to protect our customer's product 100% from the elements. We will also address the actual packaging quality, talk about capacity in order to increase your performance in the supply chain, and how this all will hopefully increase your green image and improve your carbon footprint in this world of ours. We will also look into specific operational costs, film waste, and also the film cost savings that can be obtained. So all of these topics will lead us to hopefully inspiring you, giving you ideas on how you can increase your focus on operating a supply chain in the most sustainable way. So buckle up, be nice to yourself, pour up a cup of coffee, and let's get started. Let's start out with some of the challenges that we meet when we engage with new customers in this industry. Let me point out two important problems we see, which for one part is the sealing, where we see sealings on the long part of the plast is broken, primarily during loading, unloading situations, during storage, because of friction between various rolls, and because of the weather elements, where the sealing proves not to be strong enough. So that will lead to water, moisture coming into the roll and damaging them. We also see that in many cases, branding is not satisfactory, and it's a requirement from our solution and our film suppliers that we can offer something interesting in that respect. So in terms of processes, we will be looking at customers coming from the manual packaging process, and look at what automation can do in order to improve that production. Yeah, well, let's get started about what this webinar is really about. It's about Ro-Ro Stretch Pack, which is the name of our technology. I will introduce you primarily to one type of machinery from our machine portfolio in order to keep the webinar focused. And if you after the webinar think, I would like to have learned some more about this and that, then please feel free to go to our YouTube channel called Ro-Ro Stretch Pack, where you can find lots of videos. Some are very quick, showing you in a nice and sweet way how a packaging process with our machinery takes place. Others are more detailed and will give you lots of stuff to think about. So let's start out as promised with looking at the tubular stretch hood film, and we will look at this machinery called XLS1 from a specific angle and see how the tubular film is applied at our machine. On the left here you see the setup, and on the right side you see what I call start position. And what you're looking at here is the film in an open position at our film opening unit. So this is important. The film is always open, so we don't need to manipulate and handle and spend energy on opening the film again and again, which can cause problems if you have, for instance, static electricity. So we want to avoid that and keep the film open at all times. It has several advantages. So the film itself comes as low density polyethylene film, transparent or in colors. You can play around with the branding. You can introduce UV blocking and protection. So you can make it fit for indoor or outdoor storage up to 24 months. The film itself is tubular, so it's basically a long bag. If you work with thicknesses of the film of 80 to 100 micron, well, then you will have 3 to 5 kilometers of film at your disposal at the machinery. And bear in mind that we use 100% of the film, leaving no waste over. Once the film is emptied, a trained operator will need 2 to 4 minutes to exchange the film roll. Now, what we do with the film is that we put stretch on the film in order to expand it to make it adaptable to the product. So we start out with a film circumference which is smaller than the product, and then expand it in order to fit the product. And there's a reason why we do that. Before I come to that, let me just state that the film has a very low friction, and the reason for that is that we need to be able to roll it on short metal grippers of 18 centimeter. And as you see here in the bottom, the film will end up in layers, which is the intention. But when we then perform the stretch of several hundred kilograms up to 1 ton, well, we still need to get the film off in one layer. And for that, we put out as a requirement to our film manufacturers that the film needs to have a friction coefficient below 0.2. Okay, so when we do this stretching, it turns out that our customers experience a reduction in film consumption of 20 to 60%, depending on which technology you compare with. Here we are comparing with, a heat shrink technology. But if you look at prefabricated bags being put on manually, or if you look at film packaging machines where you have an overlap of several times of the film, well, then you will see an equal amount of saving. So the film cost savings you will gain by this will be between 10 and 50%. So whether it's 10, 20 or 50%, it's still interesting and is only a part of the equation. We will look at a return on investment case later on, and I think it will surprise you to see the ratio, the balance between the various cost-saving factors. So with this reduction in film, we hope we can inspire you to look at how you can improve your carbon footprint. So enough about the film, let's see what we do with it. So we have a conveyor set up here and a roller on the right side. We wind up some film on 4 metallic ribber arms. We make a cut sealing, move while doing a biaxial stretch the bag to the conveyor, where the product then nice and easily can slide in, and we can end up doing a back sealing. So the name roll, where does it come from? Well, we roll on film, then we roll off film, hence the name roll stretch bag. Okay, so what we see here is about the branding. You can literally do, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. The only limitation you need to be aware of is that in the sides there will be an area of 2 times 8 millimeters where printing is not possible. So other than that, feel free to consult us if you have special branding requests, and I know that our authorized film suppliers are very skilled during this process as well. So let's look again from this angle on how film looks like. We can know this picture. Once we have positioned our gripper tower at this open unit, we will wind up some film and move to the conveyor. And now we have the film bag ready for the product, which can then enter. Let's have a close-up at the metallic gripper arms. You see here where the film is winded up in layers, and you can imagine the power we are applying on the film when we do this stretch of up to 1,000 kilograms. So here the product can slide in. Now, due to the fact that we do a stretch, we can make it even bigger, but we can also make it smaller to adapt it to smaller products. So here the conclusion is that one film roll can be adapted to several product sizes. If that's not enough to cover your full product portfolio, we will simply add a second or a third film roll next to the existing one, so that we can adapt to your full product program. It's a very modular solution, very flexible. Product dimensions worth mentioning is that we can go up to 8 meters. Most of our customers have a maximum of 6, but we have this future-proof offering as well. In terms of height, well, diameter, we can say we will have a max diameter of 1.4 meter. But other than that, we can pack eye to wall or eye to sky located film rolls. And well, geotextile, technical fabrics, you mentioned, name it. Okay, let's, I'll need a sip of coffee. Hope you guys are all right, and audio and the images are very clear to you. So let's make a short recap. We have looked at a little bit about how we automate, since no people are involved in our packaging process. It's simple. It gives you repeatability and uniformity in the packaging. You will obtain film savings, and due to the fact that we do each process absolutely similar, there's a high repeatability to be obtained, as mentioned. So that will lead to energy savings if, for instance, we are comparing this process to heat shrink process or even similar processes. So all of that will help our customers strive towards the sustainability development goals put out by the United Nations. And I know that's important for some of our customers, and that's why they engage with us. I will leave this image here where you can get an impression of who we are working with in different industries. So about Tentoma, very briefly, we actually come from the vertical stretch hood business, where Mr. Frank Bruhn left in 2011, and for more than 10 years he did technical service, working with machinery in the field, and this know-how and knowledge gave him good ideas on what to remove from that existing technology when he developed a horizontal stretch hood machinery and launched first machineries in 2015. And ever since, we have practically every year launched news in the market. And the latest news we have is our automatic plug inserter for geotextile rolls. More about that later. So why can we say that we have an absolutely outstanding waterproof packaging concept? Well, in order to get into detail with that, we simply have to look at the sealing. We have two sealings, a front sealing and a back sealing. And when we do the sealing, we put the plastic material in a liquid state at 180 to 200 degrees. But most importantly, we can do a controlled cooling. And this makes this sealing very, very strong. We always encourage our customers to come visit us and try to pull and tear the sealing in order to understand and feel how strong it really is. Because there is an immense pressure on these kind of products during loading and unloading and storage. So we want to make sure that the sealing really lives up to your requirements. Now this gives the optimal protection against dust, contamination, and of course the weather elements. If you have time, please feel free to watch this short video on our YouTube channel, where you can see our founder, Frank Bruhn, playing around with a piece of low density polyethylene stretch hood material in order to show you how strong the puncture and tear resistance really is. So one part for offering the full protection is the sealings. Another part is the characteristics of this plastic material, which is difficult to break. So another characteristics is the low friction. Why is that an advantage? Well, during storage and loading, unloading, these rolls will slide against each other. And if you have a wrapping solution, or if you use some kind of hard films, well, then this friction between these rolls will inevitably break them, which is not the case with a low friction film. They will simply slide on top of each other and provide a better quality of your product packaging. Another thing which you can also see here is that we have a plug inserted. So some customers, of course, want that. And with our solution, you can do it manually. And due to the characteristics of this stretch hood film, it's very, very tightly attached. And due to the puncture and tear resistance, it will not break, even though you put a plug in, and even though you put strain on the plastic material, and it's rubbing against the plug, which is a huge advantage. Another way is our automatic plug inserter for inserting your plugs. Here on the top, you can insert the plugs in whatever sizes you're working with. And these plugs, upon request, will be called down to the plug insert station. And that is here. And when the product comes in sliding on the conveyor, then the plug will be inserted automatically. You can choose to have a plug inserter machine in both sides or just one side of your solution. Okay, so I think I want to make some new commercial here on our YouTube channel, Rural Stretch Pack. We will, within very short time, launch a video where we show our automatic plugging machine. Drop into our LinkedIn channel to follow us in order to get an automatic notification of when this film comes out. We will also launch a second video during May, beginning of June, where we show a new type of machinery. So yeah, lots of stuff coming out all the time. Be sure to follow us. So our machine portfolio is very broad, but it has the advantage that it's modular. So we can take applications, components from one machine and introduce it to one of the others, so that we will always, can't guarantee always, but in most cases, find a solution that fits your need. What we will look into here is mostly the XL machine size. For all machines, there are some basic design criteria that must be met. That is, as we started out with in the beginning, that the film tube must always be open and accessible in order to avoid complexity and provide long lifetime for the machinery with low maintenance. We only use belts and no roller chains. Roller chains require lubrication, require calibration and maintenance in general. Well, as belts are maintenance free, they can break, they will be exchanged, but there's no continuous maintenance on them. Another basic design criteria is that there must be very few moving parts. So all horizontal, vertical movements are happening on ball bearing glides, which is an industry-proof way of doing these movements, very low on maintenance. And we also have a criteria saying that we will only use globally available components like Siemens use SIG Festo. So no matter where in the world you are, you will have the easiest possible access to components for the system. The PLC is programmed in tier. So please feel free to contact us should you want to know more specific details about the machinery. When it comes to dimensions of the machine, I only want to bring forward the point that we occupy very little space in the machine length direction, in the conveyor direction, and occupy a little more space, up to 6 meters, in the width. Other than that, please consult our datasheet obtainable through our website. So if we cannot manage to cope your full product variety with one film roll, we will add a second and a third film roll, as you can see illustrated here. Another machinery, which is the smaller machine, fit for technical fabrics and small geosynthetic rolls, is this one. The only difference is that it's occupying a little less space and has a lower price point than the XL machine we saw before. When it comes to capacity, of course, the product dimensions play a role. So we will look at capacity now from a 5-6 meter standard roll, and look at a simplex machinery where we have one film station where the stretch hood is placed, and we have our gripper tower where we have 4 metal gripper arms, and look at a simplex solution where we have one product per cycle. So what does this look like? Well, first of all, we roll on some plastic material on our formatic rib arms, and then we move towards the conveyor. One product will slide in, we will make a sealing and a cut, and eventually you can decide to cut off the little plastic snip and vacuum it away with your own vacuum system in-house available, or with a vacuum system provided by Tantoma. So this is the simplex way of doing it. But if we need to increase the capacity, we can do that, same type of machine, by introducing a concept called semi-flow, where we can pack 2 to 5 products per cycle. What does that look like? Well, we roll on, again, film, go to the conveyor, introduce the first product, make a cut and a sealing, and depending on the length of the products, we will know how many packs we can put through in one cycle. So please notice that there will only be waste at the last product in the cycle, and this equally can be vacuumed away or left on. So this is a very environmentally friendly packaging concept when we introduce the semi-flow functionality because we reduce the amount of waste. So let's look at a return on investment calculation, or at least look at what the balance looks like. We have a case here where you can clearly see that the most important cost saving lies in freeing up labor forces, repurposing people for other functions in your facility, and then the next point is the fill material, and finally miscellaneous. Here specifically the maintenance plays a role. So we always see this balance when customers come from manual packaging and turn to Ro-Ro stretch pack, fully automated packaging. So let's have a last recap. We also looked at branding, and please consult us if you want ideas, suggestions on how branding could look like on your product. We looked at how we provide this waterproof packaging, and why this is an advantage during loading, unloading, and storage and handling in general at your final customers, and how we can adapt to exactly your capacity with our solution. So if you're interested in going through an assessment together with us, if you want to see what it looks when you are packing your product with our machinery, we are open for doing test packaging in our workshop, where you're welcome to come and look. We have different things to show in our workshop, but you also will find it interesting when we do assembling of different packaging machines in our assembling facility, which is always very interesting. Should you want to request a budget offer, then also feel free to get in contact with us. Should you want more information to read on, we have new material. Drop an email to sales@tantoma.com and request this information. I'm sure you have comments, questions. We normally get a lot of those, so don't hesitate, send them to us. And of course, go on our LinkedIn channel and follow us so that you will get an automatic notification when we have new video material available for you. It was a pleasure having you here, here in the light afternoon. I can tell you that we have had people from all over the world. It's absolutely amazing. I want to thank you all for participating. Also those outside our time zone. I hope you stayed awake during this webinar. In any case, thanks to everyone for your attention, and have a nice day. See you soon. Bye.